This is the morning show. I'm Jeff Cook. I'm with Jackie Contessa, Kristen Messagey, and the TJ Wilson. TJ, last time we talked about our drink of choice. You have to let us in on what's in your mug.
Just regular coffee.
Straight.
That's all. Yeah. Now, granted, that's in large measure because I'm really lazy, and it's just the easiest thing to make. If I had access to an espresso machine, it'd be something more like a flat white, like 5 to 7 ounces, steamed milk, but minimal foam, 2 shots of espresso. Super simple, delicious.
Jackie, welcome.
Hi, I have a different drink than last time. It's still hot and it's decent. So I had run out of, last time Ho ran out of milk, Ho got milk. But I put a protein in my coffee and it is not spiking my blood sugar. So yay, so good, very healthy. It also featuring cat hair on the inside of it. So cheers to everybody.
Ooh, gourmet.
Protein. More protein.
It's like there's DNA in there, right?
Any changes for you, Kristen?
No, we are still drip coffee and heavy cream.
All right, well, we're on the other side of daylight savings, and we're talking about advice. We're going to give advice about advice because you guys are coaches. That's what you do, isn't it? People come, they sit in your chair, and they say,
I say, let me tell you about you. They love it.
Here's what you should do with your life.
So I'm interested in hearing about how you feel about the term advice and coaching, Kristen.
Well, I brought a quote.
we should set up the quotes. We're all bringing quotes. What you got?
Most people who ask for advice want approval. Harvey McKay, whoever that is, said that. So I find this to be really true, but I don't think we're conscious of that necessarily. I think I'm asking for something, but then someone tells me something and suddenly maybe I'm defensive or they've hit something that maybe is like my shadow and it's a blind spot for me. And so I just think I kind of lead with that. And that's a new awareness for me as a coach. I mean, back in the day, I was like, let me show you. This is clearly why you hired me, which was
isn't that
a
the whole point?
profound error. I really thought so.
I'm paying all this money to hear that I'm doing just fine.
Yeah, or especially with well, I don't know. Y'all tell me about what your numbers are like with this, but 6s are like, tell me what to do, don't tell me what to do. Like that is a very interesting dynamic. So sometimes I will say, I'm going to just say things to get your reaction. So that's kind of, Jackie, that's one way I really set things up is I'm like, let's do the push against on purpose to kind of find you. Another thing I do is I offer things as opposed to you should do this. It's like, here's a thing on offer that maybe you haven't thought of. And I'll physically orient my body out of the relational space and like literally toss ideas. And that works really, really, really well. And it is saying, I don't actually know. Oh, because this is part of it, right? We all actually think we know what other people should do.
There it is. So yes, I don't want to exclude the voice, but I hear what you're saying because it's there's a way to say, a 2 comes in and they go, well, how do I begin to access what I need? And you can suggest, here's an exercise. Here are exercises. Here are things to do this thing. That's not advice, right? And so I separated coaching from it, and I thought of me as a person, and I'm in doing the work with the Enneagram. I have rules around advice that have so many interesting. I do have to be very careful with advice as a person, and it's so separate from coaching. Like I didn't think of advice and coaching at the same time at all. I'd love to hear anyone else's thoughts on this.
My quote is actually directly speaks to this thing. If it's free, it's advice. If you pay for it, it's counseling. If you can use either one, it's a miracle.
That's good.
That's from someone named Jack Adams.
Oh, that's good.
So
why is it so hard for us to just take advice?
I hear the clicking again.
Hey, too. I think we just move on. But and we'll call it good.
Okay.
And
I hear
maybe
it too when Jackie's talking, but I just assumed it was a non-issue.
it's entirely possible that it's a network thing.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll cross our fingers on that one.
So the quote that I thought, because when I started doing my personal work, right? So this is I'm a 2, and I'm speaking from 2. Like, unsolicited advice is my jam. Oh my God, kiss me on the lips. So for me, I'm thinking about on giving advice. What I realized about myself and others is most people's idea of advice is they think they're giving advice. They're mostly reacting to what you're saying, right? And it's not, it's what they would do, even if they've been there and done something different or wouldn't have, like, it's all so relative. And so the quote that I had brought was the one that I felt the most aligned with, which was from Eddie Murphy. The advice I would give someone is to not take anyone's advice. And that, I think everybody is self-interested, for the most part, some caveats, when giving advice. So I have 3 rules, right, for me giving advice. The first is remember not to work harder than the person you're helping. That's number 1.
Damn it.
From Jackie to Jackie. Okay. Number 2, excessive advice or excessive help is the sunny side of control. And I don't actually want to control people. I just don't. And 3, I think, goes on, based on something that Kristen said earlier, which is the conversation around support or solutions. Like, do you want me to actually tell you something, or do you want an ear and an attaboy and a yes you can? And then that made me think about, like, when I'm thinking about the 9 types, when somebody comes to you and asks you a question, that's different. But what compels us, even the ones that are not the most bent to offer advice, right? To offer better or new or preferred ways of thinking or feeling or doing. And sometimes it's like based on fear, or based on judgment, which is based on fear, or based on, anger or a perceived injustice, but it is still really relative. Like, it's still relative. So anyway, as I reflected on advice, I thought about just sort of like how we do have to have our own personal rules as it applies to us, but like, what compels each individual person to offer a new way, like, to be so involved, to offer a new way of thinking, doing. And like, I mean, I can respond for myself as a 2, but I'd love to hear sort of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's because you're a 2. That's all I heard there. You're inserting yourself into other people's emotional issues and telling them what they
about a
want
1, right? I know ones where for them sorry not to but like the very clear right way and wrong way discrepancy is like assaulting them and bothering them about my life, and they feel compelled to offer me something new or different or better, and they're not 2s. Like, we all have a different reason, or like, think of an 8 that's like yelling at the person they love.
You don't need to insult me back just because I was picking on your number. Doesn't mean that you get to throw it back in my face.
Oh, so you admit you're insulting me? What do you mean insult you back?
I think 1s keep it a lot more in check because they want to be appropriate before they want to actively control other people.
That's fair. But, yeah.
What was your ending question, Jackie?
I think, let me actually build on that. I was joking on the 2 side. I think what you're wanting to do is connect with your folks. Like, why are you giving advice? It's because this is how a lot of us connect with other human beings as we enter their problems, we enter their emotional space, not because we want to control them, but because we want to have empathy, internalize where they're at. And there's an amalgamation that takes place. And that's a beautiful thing.
If we and there's an inserting of your importance in their life, which is very,
but that's for me,
2-y, 6-y.
That's for me, right? So, okay, like a note that I have is, if I'm honest, advice is secondary. Like, I want it to match that person for sure, because I think I know what's best for them, and it just is, right? But advice is secondary to how I want them to associate that it like was me, right? So that's me as a 2. But I also think of, like, for example, an 8 that I've worked with, let's say, who feels it personally when somebody that they love so much is not showing self-respect, is not living up to their, like, and they offer, and doesn't look like a 2's advice or so, but it is offering a new different, but that is advice. It's in a different language and we can't say it's not advice. Right. And so I think we can look at it in the 2 lens in the most traditional sense. A kind word or a suggestion or let me help you, or here's what I think you should do. But I think all 9 of us are compelled to somehow, some way, when it's important to us or when it threatens us or when it rubs up against us, offer something. And I wonder what compels each of us to do that in a different way, right? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
TJ, why are you giving advice? Armchair full counselor?
See,
TJ.
At the crown of the Enneagram, as a 9, I see all of you
figure of the Enneagram
more clearly than I see myself. So I'm just offering you the advice you need. No.
Are you an advice offerer, TJ?
I have a fake business. Like I've had business cards printed. It's my email address. It's Mr. Advice Inc.
I totally forgot about this.
True?
Yeah.
His email address is Mr. Advice
for like 20 years.
That's you?
Yeah.
I do not get that vibe from you.
So like it's. I think we're all circling around this idea that I think is really important when we think about advice, is that there's 2 sides to advice, right? Like we've talked about this in many other spheres of the Enneagram discussions in the past, but there's the person giving advice and there's the person receiving advice, right? And I think varying levels of health will definitely inform this, but usually from whatever place that we're giving advice, if it's average to healthy space that we're living in, it's because we want other people to improve their lives and we want them to experience that from their own perspective, right? And like as a 9, my advice is often about you need to figure out what you want. Because I can't tell you what to do if you don't know what you want. So I think that our own filter is part of our advice, regardless of who's in front of us. But we also tend to tailor that often to the situation, the person that's in front of us, because it's one thing for me to give advice to my spouse, and it's another thing for me to give advice to someone that I'm like just met at a coffee shop. Yeah, I don't know that there's any hard or fast rules about it. But I think it always comes from like we want to see someone else thrive for themselves.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah,
okay.
please.
So except it's from our perspective. So I liked what you were like, we want to see people thrive. Why do we want that? That's kind of what Jackie was asking. So we feel better. I mean, I really think centering our own emotions is so crucial in this conversation. And I think a rule could very easily be, did they ask for it?
Yeah.
Do they want my advice? I think that's the part that just whoosh gets missed. And because we get so like, oh, I have something for you, which is nothing about the other person, actually, in my opinion. That's fully about my discomfort and my need, like my somatic experience of wanting to like do something instead of my ability to get into myself and then be curious about this other person and really figure out kind of, TJ, what you were saying, like help them actually find themselves a little bit. Do they actually then want something from me? So I think advice giving is just extremely self-centered if it's not wanted.
Invited. Yeah.
Yes. I think that's a rule. We can like.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I think it also makes me wonder too how reductive we can maybe be when we think using 2 language, like think we know what somebody needs or are self-interested in like whatever, but like use what we think we know about them based on either our worldview from the Enneagram or who they are, and go, oh, this is what you need because you're a 9. This is what you need because you're a 6. Stop worrying. Or you know, blah, blah, blah. But you know what I mean? Like, this is what you need because of this, but it's not really actually advice in itself. Yeah. Then is advice like projection in some way?
Of course.
I mean, not for me, because again, I'm at the crown and I see all of you more.
I'm not
clearly
projecting,
than
you're projecting. Yeah, exactly.
For me, I want to take this a different road. We built on our building on our conversation last time about happiness. I think that's what we're made for. I think that's what, when TJ says, you know, what do you want? I think there's one answer for every person on earth, and the answer is happiness. And Enneagram is helpful because it really exposes our understanding of what we think that is. Well, you don't disagree with me too much on this. I listened to our
I just
episode,
feel like we learned nothing
Kristen.
after. I feel like we got nothing.
The first
It's
episode
a waste
was
of an
waste.
hour.
Well, I have advice for you. on
Anyway,
this,
carry
Kristen. There is I've been wrestling with this since we talked. There's advice that is, this is what you should do. And then there's a different kind of advice, which is, this is who you ought to become. And I'm really interested in that second question. Who are you becoming? What sort of choices are you making?
I do like that
as you make choices, how are they influencing how you are in the world? So I generally have terrible advice for what people should do, but I think when it comes to the question, if somebody's willing to go there, who am I becoming? What habits am I putting on? And where are those going to naturally lead? If I keep embracing those habits for years and years and years and years, I think that's a really important question. And that strikes me as like the actual goal of something like coaching or therapy. I'm floating that as an answer to the question, but I would love your responses.
Dang, that was good, Jeff. You just pulled right out of that. That was
Our disagreements about happiness, and I landed on
that was
something
solid,
constructive.
Though. I was like, yes.
Well, perfect.
No.
Well, that's what happiness is then, is it not? It's like I've put on the character traits and the habits that routinely allow me to be the sort of person that makes good, wise, courageous, moderate choices.
You were doing good, and now you're pulling it apart. So
well, tell me why.
Who am I becoming?
Who are you becoming is good.
But from the advice standpoint, Jeff, though, it's interesting because what I hear you saying, there's a little bit like, I see who you collectively should be becoming. And that might be the part where it's a little like, well,
I'm a one. That's my wheelhouse. I judge you and I say this is how you can become better. What's so wrong with that?
Yeah. So there you go. Do we, back to what TJ said, are we maybe interested in who people want to become?
No. Well, actually, this would be where the advice comes in. It's I think having those conversations of who do you want to become is a great starting point, because then it gets it out on the open. Yeah.
Not advice.
Well, at that point, you are exposing desire, which is really beneficial. Exposing motive, which is really beneficial. And then once those are on the table, then we can dialogue. Who are you becoming given your desires and your wants? If you were to act on these things, I think that's really helpful.
I do too.
Boom.
I think for six, it's very hard to come by because they know what they don't want, right? We know what we're avoiding. And shifting into this, who do I want to become? It's a completely different mindset to put on.
Who do I want
How
to
does
become?
that land for the 2 and the 9 in the room? That question.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
It lands a lot. This is what when I say like, okay, my rules for advice, my rules for like really helping, right? I mean, this is what it is. This is also what it is in coaching, even though the direction is different, right? You, in one way, with certain boundaries, pull out who are you becoming, and as a two and an interpersonal person and in real life, who are you becoming is like, I hear this and I think to myself, advice is not ask and give. Advice is being a humble and trustworthy and solid person that a person can come to so they can toss the ball back and forth on who am I becoming, so that person can do what they need to do in some way, shape, or form. Advice is relative, but we're doing it relative the wrong way. It's like relative from like the giver of advice, and we're using our lens to like but in reality, we should just be this completely, and how do we get there? Completely objective person who helps somebody else do whatever process they have to do to answer the question, who am I becoming and what do I have to do?
I don't know if
Can you wait till I'm done to disagree?
I think this is actually
I wanna hear
where
it.
the question came up, and I'll throw it to TJ with the question, but the question on the table is like, is there some sort of target? Like, do coaches, therapists, is there some general target that we ought to be leading folks toward? My answer would be a real strong yes. I feel like I'm in the minority there.
No, we all need a marker. Because then what? Because then what? Because then what? Because then what's next? Because what's next? We need a marker.
Well, it sounded like your answer was that as long as I'm with this person and beside them, we'll figure it out together.
No.
Oh, okay.
So if someone comes to you and the premise of advice is, who are you becoming?
Mm-hmm.
That's not our choice to make. That's the same thing as giving advice and saying, just basically giving somebody else my shock value, my opinion, what I would do if I was in that situation. It's not a help to who that person's becoming. I have no say in who that person's becoming, who they want to be. They do. I think that so true advice is being the person that they can trust to be objective and reverberate that off of, so that they can come to their own conclusions, even if that's a collaborative effort. Not together we'll figure it out, but like that person needs to be doing the work themselves, and I think advice, without it just being a word of wisdom or whatever, not to reduce it, but like is being able to, let's say, be a wall, because you have it doesn't have to do with you when you're objective, be a wall and allow somebody to throw spaghetti until something sticks, because they're the only person that actually knows who they're becoming.
We should have defined our terms. We're going to do better next time. Part of our issue is we don't have a definition of advice. So like, Jackie, everything you're saying is great, but I'm like, but where, you know what I mean? Like advice, I think, is this separate thing.
Well, that's what, so I thought of advice as this interpersonal, and it's funny because Jeff is like talking about coaching and like those, and I'm like, wow, advice doesn't fit for me. And maybe that's a wall I had to build, right? One of those things is the reasons there are people can be really surprised at how many systems and we have to do it like this that I have as a coach, because there have to be lines and limits. I do not want to be self-interested. And I do, like, you need to get, like, if I don't ever see you again after session 6 and your whole life I need to know that you know what you're doing without me. And you need to know that you know what you're doing without tapping somebody else in. So this is you doing what you need to do to get to where you need to go. I don't think that's. I think advice is always interpersonal. I don't think coaching is advice, but I guess that's my view on coaching, right? I don't lump them together.
That's TJ, and then we'll define some terms.
Jackie, I love what you're saying, and I think that a less healthy too, and potentially many of the other types won't need that kind of structure and that kind of separation. I think you need that, and you recognize that you need that for the sake of your own heart and success and thriving business. Like, you have to create some of that separation. And I don't know that I will have any of those. I don't feel the need for any of those kinds of structures. And even to the point of, if I sit down with someone and we talk about a thing and like we come back to it over and over again for a couple of months, and then that thing, like, and then I never see them again, it's like, I'll think about it, but their success or failure on that thing, like their plan moving forward, I have very little attachment to it.
Yeah, no, I to clarify, it's like less about the attachment and more like, okay, this is a service, and this is not your friend, and we're not friends. Yeah. And within this service, this is what I feel is completing it.
Yep.
to a T, and it's not. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you have fulfilled your end of the contract.
100%. Contract is like the best word, and it's not that we don't build things. Like as a coach, there are things that I choose to disclose, like client to client, because it builds, whatever. But it's important. Yes, it is important for me to have those lines and limits, and I think that's why I think the word advice doesn't make it into coaching for me, because I always believe that advice is self-interested. In my entire life, I can think of one thing given to me that I can consider true advice. That person was screwing themselves and their family in the advice that they gave me, because it was truly the objective right thing for me and for the situation. And that's the only time I can look back and say, this is like real, true advice. And other than that, it's a mishmash. Every time anyone's been ever given advice, I don't, generalizing, can anyone say that every time they've just been given advice, they don't still mull on it a little bit? They don't still wonder, they don't still seek a little bit. So I don't think there's room for some of that, like, not interpersonal, that it doesn't matter who you are. I always think emotions are a little bit involved when you're giving advice, whether it's from yourself or for the others or blah, 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 blah. And I don't think there's room for that in coaching for me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, yeah.
Well, and I think we have to acknowledge that your twos are farthest away from objectivity, right? And so like the necessary structure to help manufacture some that objectivity is present. Absolutely. And
I have to. Yeah.
Yep. I think there's a lot of other types that do not struggle with that separation as much.
I want to also reflect TJ's wisdom in my second quote.
Do it.
Which is this. The true secret of giving advice is after you have honestly given it to be perfectly indifferent whether it is taken or not. Hannah Whitehall Smith. That is brilliant and true. How attached do we get after we've offered something in coaching, in a friendship, in a partnership, to a child for the love? Like, do we have the respect of the other person? Because that's another thing I think that can get kind of,
do we trust the competence of the other person?
Well, do we just respect them as a human being?
Yeah.
Because like my 15-year-old, no, I don't trust his competence, but I respect him.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. And I think sometimes too, even like being attached to the advice is like, can be forms of, let's say, two-ish language, right? Like enabling, and I think enabling is at some point you don't trust the other person's competence, and sometimes there are justified reasons for that, I'm sure. But no, I think that's fair, and that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
We've moved off of like, what's the art of advice to a depthier question here. Why are we giving advice? That seems very, very different in terms of, but that,
sorry.
I think to name it for a second.
I think it's super important for everyone, because this is, it's such a problem.
And I also think you can't answer the second, the first question without dealing with the second one.
Why are we giving advice is going to, is it not, immediately emerge from each of our Enneagram types. Our motive is going to be all over this.
And our health.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then should we all have rules? Like not that everyone's going to have the rules like or everyone needs to sit and make their 1, 2, 3 rules. But for me, I was like, how do I maintain this without losing myself? For me, it's different, right? I used to find it so personal when someone didn't take my advice because I tied myself to it more than the actual advice. For me, I don't say it if I can't be indifferent about it, because then it's not ready to come out. That baby's not hatched, right? And those are my rules, right? My rules are: don't work harder than the person you're helping. Excessive advice is the sunny side of control, and figure out if they want support or solutions. Those are my rules. Does everybody need their own rules then?
I don't feel the need for rules, but I feel I've learned a lot of these things. Like the things that you are saying are rules, I feel like I have learned them. And they're part of my being now. So I don't.
Well, same. Yes. I'm not
agree.
Like, yeah.
I just don't have like.
What are they?
Guidelines like that.
What are those things that are part of your? So how do you know?
For me, it's a fundamental shift in like, can I come into myself and respect the person I'm talking to.
Can you define respect? Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can, because I'm really thinking of my husband particularly. You know, I used to have loads of advice for him. TJ's going to chuckle. He can probably relate to this. Loads of advice. I mean, give me a domain of life, right? I could have told him how to do it better to be safe.
Yeah.
And he used to tell me, like, you don't respect me or trust me. And I was like, I literally don't get it. Just don't ever go on the roof again. Like, that's obvious, right? And he's like,
Yeah, duh. Why would you ever go on the roof? It's so dangerous up there.
That's insane. And I remember the moment of realizing, of course, it was after a lot of Enneagram and coaching work, shocker, that I was like, oh, I'm not respecting his autonomy as a human being, grown-ass man. And it was very painful. And it changed our marriage entirely when I had that realization. So I don't have rules now. I'm just like, Kristen, he's a grown-ass, competent man.
Agree to agree. Those are, when I say
a lot
rules,
of my own discomfort,
yeah.
I just learned to be with as I learned to like trust and respect and accept. I don't know, that he might fall off a roof someday, you know, or
Sure.
whatever.
Yes.
Any other number of realities of life that maybe befall him. I have to let it go.
And my rules are continually adapting. There's no hard and fast rules because every situation is different.
And a 9 can do that really easily, right? Like read the situation. Like that's one of your superpowers.
Yeah. And it's interesting because like my rules are not, you know, but it's funny because like it's like, okay, respect. I hear respect being important. I hear, okay, the situation, and I am thinking about me because I don't know, like I think I'm like, okay, like I have to learn my own limit in like going too far or not, and where are the things that I've, you know, where are the moments I've had where like you've had, Kristen, where it's like you don't respect me or whatever, or where have I had those moments where I have felt something shift because I worked harder than the person I was helping and had to go back and go, why am I doing this? And something new becomes ingrained in me, right? So when I say rules, I mean that, but I do think every person maybe then has them, whether or not they shift, whether or not, like, I guess we learn from giving advice. We're all just babies. We learn and then we adapt and we do it different. Yeah.
Well, it kind of gets back to the becoming question, right? That Jeff really highlighted for us. Like for me, becoming, like I wanted to be a better wife. I wanted to become someone who was more accepting of reality and be able to actually live with that, which to me is a very 6-y journey. But yeah, it is this, who are we becoming?
Yeah.
I think that question really is still alive here.
How even though like you wanted to become this, you know, better wife and person who he, you know, he felt, you know, was respected by and XYZ, how did that brush up against who you were then in that moment?
Like, it just meant confronting all of my fear. No big deal.
So like as opposed to like giving
the
advice,
work of my
say,
life,
or like,
and I just keep my mouth shut. I just keep my mouth shut, and I get curious. This is the magic sauce, right? Is curiosity over control, Jackie, as you said. To be curious about people means we don't know. It's like the fundamental point of curiosity is I don't actually know the answer on the other side of this.
Yeah.
I think curiosity is kind of a balm that if I could put anything in the water supply, it might be that. People being a little less sure of their damn selves.
I heard that curiosity killed the cat, so it sounds like you're just wanting to kill all the cats.
They got 9 lives. They're good. It's fine.
Who's going to put cat hair in my coffee?
One life.
I hear 2 different things going on here. Like, what do you do when someone that you love is doing dangerous things versus what do you say when somebody comes into your office for coaching and therapy? Those seem like very different situations. And so if somebody actually focusing on the latter for a second, when somebody actually is entrusting you with their heart, their emotions, their future, and saying, this is the course that I'm going down. What do you think about it? That is an invitation for insight, feedback, wisdom. That's I suppose when speaking about advice, that's the realm that I was seeking to hit. Because sometimes we are put in those situations. Nobody ever asked me those questions because I'm a crap coach. But if they did, I would like, what exactly do you say into those spaces? Or like, what's the posture of speaking into those spaces?
Well, for me, the posture is, because I work with sixes and I'm a six, the posture is they're handing me their authority in a way that's not
that's what
really
you hear.
what they want.
Yeah.
So, and the framing that you set up there isn't how people come to me.
Okay.
Sometimes one-on-one, yes, they'll come in and they'll be like,
how would you describe the posture situation of people going to coaching and therapy? Like, is it? Well, I'm probably not uniform, but
that's what I'm saying. Is I'm like, what is the posture? It's like, help me.
Well, because so you have
help.
That's exactly what I'm describing.
It's not tell me something about my life. It's this much more general, like, help me. Yeah. And I secretly think the problems are all out there. Okay, so first of all, there's this whole thing about like, you think you want help, but your mind is saying they're the problem. If only they would blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of sort of unearthing what do you actually think the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
And then to the point about agenda, I absolutely teach like we got to get into self-ownership. And that's a lot of work for sixes. So that's one thing.
Self-ownership is, to circle back to character traits. I mean, I think that seems to me, if self-ownership is one of those character traits that leads to happiness. Don't you think?
I would agree with you.
Boom.
I agree.
I'm gonna just take it.
Boring.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in, friends. Next week.
That's all we needed.
What do
Jackie,
you think?
How do people present? Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, on the advice side of things, I think actually there's a lot of wisdom in saying, what do you actually think the problem is, and tearing into that. That would be one of two questions I would really want to focus on.
Let me jump back in. So like, as a consumer of coaching, when I hired a business coach, ostensibly I was hiring her to tell me what to do. Okay, sure. But when it came down to doing the things, there was so much like terror and fear that I had to confront to do the things that there was way more work around me learning about myself in a deeper way, right? It wasn't about doing things. So I got advice, but then it was like, but why can't I just do the things? There was all this stuff going on. Whereas other people are just going to be able to go do the things, right? They hire a business coach, they go do the things. So there's also like, what kind of coaching are we doing? What are the problems we're solving? Blah, blah, blah.
Thoughts?
What am I struggling with? We all go to those sorts of folks with a struggle, right? But there is kind of an assumption that they do know more than we do. Or why would we go?
Correct.
The hope.
But really what's the problem is, I think, where, type comes in.
I suppose if I'm in those situations as somebody looking for help, I want to identify the problem as was stated. And then what I want is a second set of eyes on the problem. Is my reaction normal, quote unquote, normal, healthy, beneficial? Is it the case that, look, if something like this happened to anybody, they would feel the way that you are? And therefore it's not about like you need to change something. You just need to accept that when you have losses of this sort or grief of this sort or, pain of this sort, these are the sorts of things that will occur in a human being. And just getting that validation can be, I imagine, really helpful. That's not necessarily advice, but it might be the case that somebody looks at things and says, well, I see a pattern of how you conduct relationships, and perhaps that's not a good pattern. So let's talk about that. And that seems that it may not be explicit advice, but it's certainly pulling things apart in such a way that we're moving towards discovery. But I have an absolute target in my mind. If I was the coach saying that, my absolute target is you will be a healthier, happier human being if you're in relationships with people that last. I think I would be committed to that sort of principle. That doesn't mean all relationships need to last. But
wait, what?
I mean,
So you're saying no matter what the presenting problem is, you're like, you need to be in healthy relationships.
Well, I'm saying if somebody came and said, look, I'm routinely breaking up with people, or they're breaking up with me or something. I'm consistently losing jobs. I don't know why it's the case that all these my friends are leaving. You know, these things of that nature.
I'm tossing it to the others.
Yes, I'm waiting for you guys as well. Are we saying anything that's interesting?
I was watching a great volleyball game. Okay. So I don't work with just sixes, right? So I like what Chris, I think what I'll say is I used to coach just one way, and now I coach sort of 9-ish different ways with variation, right? And I try to talk to the person I'm talking to. Like, just to talk logistically, why advice for me is separate and why coaching like can be in the family of advice and all of this stuff, but like there can be tangibles when someone says, this is the course I'm going down, I don't like it. And it's fair to say, like, here is a place I'd like you to be based on what I know is available for you. You make that yours. I have no skin in the game about what that looks like. I don't care what state it's in. I don't care what your goals are. Like, so people will come in and they will, let's say, fill out a form, free consultation, fill out a form. And no matter what the type is, there are 3 things I ask them that, you know, summing up, what are 3 things that are sort of tripping you up? And what are 3 things you want to be different about your life after you're done working with somebody? And I take the middle of those 2 things and I go, you know, if there's smoke, there's fire, but I better open up the hood, right? And this person, for the most part, a lot of times, sometimes let's say a lot of people come in because they're like, oh, I want to learn about Enneagram. That's fine. That's good. But like, they may believe that they are looking for advice, but what is presented to them is essentially, you will be able to do all of these things by yourself, but there is groundwork that needs to be prepped. There are patterns that are happening that are creating what look like logistical errors. You do want reassurance in your relationship. You do want to build resilience. You do want to learn how to speak up. Those things will and can naturally happen when groundwork is set. And so if someone says, hey, I'm going down this course and I know a blanket of personality patterns and where they come from, there can be a collaboration started where we go, okay, how does that look like Susie? And I think my whole thing is like, you know, I think to finish the contract, like you said, like there's a bookend there where I'm like, can I say confidently, we prepped the ground, we understood the why, we answered the questions, why do I do that, and how do I stop enough to be able to have this person by their own means, without an exchange of, you know, working with a coach, whatever, be able to go and start working towards those things, continue the work on those things. So it's the beginning of a collaboration. And I think that's where like advice can be hard, because I think when you are seeking something professional, right? It's not a friend or whatever. You're seeking something that is I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like a professional, somebody who is like you're consulting with in some degree, whether it's therapy or coaching or anything like that. I think if advice, as we are sort of talking about it, comes into play, you may need that forever, because you're not really being taught why you are running into the traps that you are running into, or what you're it's hard to answer the questions, why do I do that? And how do I stop? How do I consistently have a prepped ground for all the things that I want to do with or without this person? When it's just advice, when it's just, I think you should do this. This is a good course of action. This is a good goal, right? So I often say, you're going to probably reach your goals on your own. We're going to do step 0 together. That's all we're doing is step 0. I don't know if I'm answering anyone's questions, but I think that's sort of where, and maybe that's like how I I have been in the client seat as well. And I've had both people just tell me what is they hear and they go, well, this is sort of what you need because you're a 2. And I'm like, well, I don't have a connection with it and I don't know how to make one. And so I can't, it's not landing and it's not sticking and I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Just speak up, just rest. I'm on the couch all the time. Hello.
Telling a 6 to just trust themselves.
Right.
I think the thing, and this will be, I'm going to be the outlier here, but I would love your guys' wisdom and thoughts on it, is that I find that folks are aiming at the wrong thing. So if somebody sits in your chair and says, look, I'd really like to become a better Secretary of Defense that invades and takes over other countries.
Always, we go here.
And you say, well, let me help you become your best, most flourishing self in that atmosphere.
People don't come in and want to become something that's incredibly
I hear Jeff.
People don't come in and want to go. They don't want to go incredibly far from. They're not coming in and going, I want to be the exact opposite of who I truly am. There's something in them that knows something is not right. There's
the idea of being who I truly am is language that I think I push against on this front, because sometimes the assumption of who you truly are may actually be a really unhealthy
I agree with this
space for that particular person to land. I think there's a lot of clowns who I can name, elevate, and say this person thinks that this is what happiness, strength, being a man looks like.
They're
doing God's work.
This happens a lot
wrong.
in these conversations, is that Jeff leaves normal people and goes to these extreme examples.
To hang out with some more folks, I think. You need to find some more unhealthy people. You need to go back to church.
People who are doing
Remind
the work
yourself
of coaching.
what unhealthy people look like.
People who are doing the work of coaching. People who say, I want to do something different than I've been automatically doing it.
Are not
have a sense
calling themselves
they're not doing that because those people think
exactly.
They think they're fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. So people don't come in and want to be
a Jeff thing.
Either the Yeah.
All right, so you're saying that the only people that go to therapy and coaching are people who already have their stuff together?
Enough.
No,
we're coaching stalker moms. What the hell?
People come. The people who come into my coaching across from me are not any of the extremes. They're regular, degular, schmegular, successful, whatever people who go. There's a discrepancy in my world.
I have such a lower view of humanity.
Yeah, you do. It's really.
That's why you're not a coach.
No, I do too. Listen, I have to work real hard. I like Brene Brown said it once. It's like, I love humanity. It's just the individuals that make it. It's the people that make it so
I
hard.
love the world, but the fan club is terrible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no one is. Go ahead.
Okay, I would love to try to split the difference a little bit here. So I
have to the rescue.
I have a friend, and God, I hope he doesn't listen to this.
I thought about that. I'm like, I can't use that example.
Mm-hmm.
I can't use that.
I would love to tell you about our high numbers, but
so I have a friend who is often looking for advice, right? And wants to share the things that are going on in his life with other people and get their feedback. And what do you think I should do? Because I don't know what to do here. The problem is he already knows what he wants to do. And sometimes he's actually describing what has already happened and he already did the thing. And the advice that he's looking for is whether or not you support the thing that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Does he know he's doing this and does he know why? I'm curious.
A little bit yes, a little bit no.
Interesting.
And,
I have a quote for this.
The issue at hand is that what he is looking for is not necessarily good, healthy growth.
This is Jeff's point. Yes, I see.
This has been like ebbing and flowing throughout his life, and I understand like varying levels of health represented here, but this is a theme that many people who are looking for advice are not looking. And you said it at the very beginning, Kristen, that it's a lot of people who are looking for guidance are not looking to be changed. They're looking for, how do I stay exactly the same and address the situation in front of
Yes.
me? So there's an awful lot of giving good advice that is about discerning what the other person actually wants. And that does not necessarily, like, we have to start below the, do you want to be, what does healthy, thriving, whatever, we have to start below that. Is that what you actually want?
Yes.
Or do you want to stay the same and figure out how to
And
navigate the
most
situation
people,
before you?
probably, we can all relate to this. We don't need to like be like so much better than everybody else. Want to stay the same. Change is actually extremely
100%.
difficult.
Yeah.
When people come in, they're coming in, like, let's say they come in with goals. Those goals are typically symptoms of things that are happening that they want to be different or better, right? And a lot of the questions I ask them in those consultations are, a person like this also does this. A person like this also lives like this. A person who does this has done this. A person with boundaries knows what they need. A person with... Do you also want to do the prerequisites?
Right.
That's what coaching, it's the work is like the prerequisites there, and advice is, I think, something. But anyway, no, like this is... Yeah.
But I think like this is one of the things, this is one of the places that may separate like coaching versus advice. 30,000 feet may be the same thing. But on the ground, people who are looking for coaching are probably not starting at that foundational level. Right? Like they know they want to move. They know they want to grow. They know they want
I don't know if that's
something.
everybody's experience, but that's what I see in this community, in like the Enneagram world.
I mean, 6 that I am, I've kind of swung to the other side. I think I'm a little more on the like, I do think most people want to stay the same. And I do think most people are looking for a way to do that and somehow feel better in their life. And that's why
like
this
most
work
of your
is
clients,
hard.
or like most of the people you work with, or
And
you think most people like in
I
general?
interact with on a daily basis. I mean, how many people at the end of the day are like, oh, I just got to vent about how I could have been a little bit of a better person today. No, they want to vent about how the people in traffic and the da-da-da-da and the da-da-da-da-da. We're not leading, most of us, with or like, I really upped my game in this way today and I really feel good about that. Like, we just go on autopilot and want to be the same. I think that's true. And I think that's why work is really actually hard, because you come and then you work with someone who's like, well, we can actually fundamentally change some stuff in you. And it's like, whoa, I didn't necessarily know that that's what I was coming in for. I think that's what I have learned over the course of things, is what people think they want with their little, tiny prefrontal cortex is very different than how their nervous system, subconscious, is wired. And why the Enneagram is so brilliant, because the Enneagram is a shortcut. We can spend so much less time, but we still have to contact the pay dirt. And it's hard.
This is where I would want to go with all of this in terms of advice, is that oftentimes we come to the world with unhealthy or even irrelevant metrics for what should matter. And sometimes we just need to be reminded, what is the thing that matters? What questions ought to be on your mind? Enneagram 1 phrase that I would love to prescribe. What ought to be on your mind? Like, tell me about your closest relationships and how are those going? Are you investing in your closest relationships and the people in your life that matter? Or are you spending a lot of your relational energy on people who sap you, who are not healthy relationships? That sort of thing, I think would be an example of what I think is a really important question for most of us to ask. And the reason it's important is because this is the road to happiness. This is the road to thriving and flourishing, is having relationships that really have body stability and in which you invest and they invest in you. That would be one of the metrics I would want to elevate, as kind of core to the happy life. So like when it comes to advice, those are the sorts of things that ping for me, or at least let me make it completely subjective. That's what I want somebody to ask me. So
Yeah.
God, I'm just consistently saying things that then there's silence.
It's morning.
I need a question. What's the question?
It's just so like, I like how, I was glad you landed it how you landed it. Because that just isn't the same for everybody. Like what when you said that's what I would want people to ask me, I'm like, exactly. It's very different for other people.
Is it?
Yes.
So I suppose I am making it subjective, but really behind me is me saying, but there's a lot of things that are really similar across the board in human beings. And this might be one of them.
I mean,
and I also think that the importance placed on healthy relationships, like you should have healthy relationships, sure, but also some people need more of that than other people, so that may not be a priority for many people in any given room, right? Like this person has a good relationship with their spouse, and that's all they need. Right. The other relationships in their life are just sort of secondary or whatever.
I think that's where I would want to push into that, at least with questions. If I were in that space, and again, I'm not a good coach, but I would want to ask questions about that. Is that true? Like, is it the case that a thriving human being can have one relationship that's their spouse? That seems to me to be a neglect of something that I would want to argue is essential, and that's just friendships. I think friendships are essential to a flourishing life.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting a lot of your worldview, which is interesting, but not necessarily everyone's worldview. There's also this whole idea of thriving. We could hang out there.
It's interesting.
No, that's exactly it. You would disagree with my conclusion, which is entirely fine, by the way.
The problem is it's not that we disagree, it's that we don't think it's universal.
I'm saying it's universal and you are disagreeing.
There are a billion ways to define a relationship. And if a relationship is that, or a friendship, and if to me, I have
this should be our next topic.
A spouse that like fills my cup in every single way, and once a week, I go to the library and I say hello to the person at the desk and I ask about their dog, and then I check out the book and I leave. And if I consider that a friendship and I am balanced in all of other areas and I'm not lacking as a human being and I am doing there's a billion ways to define a friendship and a relationship when other areas are balanced. When there are imbalances, we see the, not reactions, manifestations of that imbalance, right? We see what comes out, but there are some things that more so balance a person out than others, but it is about a person being able to define it in their own lives and live up to that. Yes, we do need people, but how?
Last word for me is I have 182 things I want to say about that. But notice underneath all of that, you elevated a value, which was balance. And said, look, we're going to judge all of this based on this virtue, which is core. And that's exactly the sort of thing that I would want to elevate as.
I mean, Jeff, do you think everybody should be the same?
No. However, I do think.
Are you asking one about uniformity?
Well, I think that you would set up Chris and I can answer that question. Or does that go into what you said would be a good topic for next time?
I don't know. I just heard some good stuff. Like, do we think everyone should be the same? Is, interesting. Thriving is interesting. Friendship, so many things to discuss.
Yeah.
Maybe next week we should talk about needing relationships.
I mean, I feel like I would get way too philosophical if we say what can be universalized in a person. But like, I think that wisdom is always a health promoting thing in somebody. You can't have enough
wisdom has to come from like experience and churn, and like we can look at someone at where they are in their life. Like I can look at the parts of my life that I am now the most wise from, and they are like it's a mess. So someone could have looked at me in that
but
moment
it's
and been
valuable,
like,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. But in the time, if someone had been like, you need to be different right now, is that even correct? Because I needed to be in the muck and mess and churn of my life to be the great wise woman that I am today.
Totally.
The diamond needed the fire.
Do you know what I mean?
I suppose to circle back, that would be an example of if you were speaking to somebody in those moments and you were saying, look, this is the muck that I'm involved in. And they were to have a secondary perspective and say, look, this is what I see. There'd be a lot.
See it in the
lot
moment.
to be offered there. That's what that's a good. Well, let's land the plane. Last words on advice. Jackie, go.
Last words on advice are, for me, like, because I think everyone will say something different. If you are motivated, moved, interested in offering something better, new, or preferred in terms of thinking, feeling, or doing to another person, whether you're angry about it and want to do it, or you think you want to help, whatever, I'd love for you to ask yourself why. There's a saying in Turkish, banane, which it sounds like banana, which is, what is it to me? And that's a very nice neutral question. What is it to me? And then go and do that.
Love that. TJ?
I think that advice is too hard to sum up in a simple final statement.
Good one.
You got something, Kristen?
Yeah, I have this other quote. It's easy when we are in prosperity to give advice to the afflicted.
That's great.
You check yourself, you privileged people.
Queen of quotes, man.
That's a good one today.
My thoughts coming out of this is that advice often is entering spaces that are reactive in nature. Somebody's asking for something and wants to react to what we say, and that's probably not the right posture for those seeking advice. I think pausing for a minute and asking the hard question, who are you? What are you becoming? What sort of person do you want to be in the future? These are just open questions. There's not necessarily a space for advice, but I think that those kind of questions always lead to better conclusions than, hey, this is what you should do tomorrow. Although sometimes we need that. We need, what should I do tomorrow? But I think the more essential questions are where you should put your most energy and time. And that's what I got. Well, we'll figure out a topic for next time. Hey, I appreciate you all.
Good times.
Yeah.
And this has been
Good
the morning
morning.
show.
Yeah.
Good morning.
There you go.
Hey friends, it's Jeff. We're getting to interview some of the most intriguing people in the Enneagram world. There are already 20 plus interviews up at aroundthecircle.org, and we're continuing to add more. That site is where we're gathering and platforming all of our best work. Much of it is available for free. Katie Whitlock and I have been doing deep studies working through wings, stance, fear, anger, and shame in our Rewired series. I'm beginning to release chapters from my next Enneagram book, which I'm calling The Steps, for early review for your consideration. And we have monthly online workshops in which 30 or so folks gather to talk about their type. There's audiobooks, there's videos, there's lots of fun stuff, lots to like. Go to aroundthecircle.org, and may all good things be yours.